Hey guys, this is the Highborn, and in this video I would like to talk to you about Fighter in the Ashes of Creation Alpha 2. So, let's talk about its skill tree. In the bottom right we have combat momentum. You generate one combat momentum when hitting targets. Weapon combo finishers generate 3 combat momentum, plus an additional 1 per 10 the caster already has. Combat momentum grants unique increasing stat bonuses based on the combat form and on what you are currently doing and your build. Form of Ferocity. While in this form, the caster receives 1.5% attack speed per 10 combat momentum up to 15%. Overpower and Brutal Cleave apply bleeding to targets hit. Shifting form costs 20% of your current momentum and triggers cooldown of all combat forms. Overpower. It deals 150% physical damage to the target enemy. It's of your power. This ability shares cooldown with Brutal Cleave, and hitting an enemy with a combo finisher refreshes its cooldown, plus 10 combat momentum. The first skill that you can take is Blitz. Charges directly toward the enemy, dealing 100% physical damage upon arrival. It's 100% of your damage. Or that was poorly explained. Let's explain it well. Of your physical offensive power. To the right, we can upgrade it to Reinvigorating Lethal Blows. Killing an enemy with lethal blow resets the cooldown of Blitz. We can further upgrade it by going into Lethal Blow. It deals 120% physical damage to the target enemy, plus additional damage based on the target's missing HP, up to a maximum of 375 physical damage. Chance to critically hit is increased by 15% against bleeding targets. This bonus doubled against hemorrhaging targets. This can be further upgraded by consuming Lethal Blow. Lethal Blow returns 50% of overkill's damage dealt as HP and mana. You can also further upgrade Blitz with Raging Blitz. Blitz generates 20 combat momentum. Then we have Brutal Cleave. Perform a wide sweeping attack, dealing 175% physical damage to all enemies in front of you. This ability shares a cooldown with Overpower, and hitting an enemy with a combo finisher refreshes its cooldown, plus 10 to 20% combat momentum, and based on the number of targets hit. We have Crippling Blow. Deal 75% physical damage and apply Snared to the enemy. If the target is staggered, then the effect is consumed and the target becomes stripped. Here we have Savagery. Weapon combo finishers apply 1 wounded to the target's hit. Whirlwind. It's a channeled ability. Deal 30% physical damage to all enemies around the caster with each swing while channeled, increasing the spin rate the longer it is channeled. The caster is immune to hard disabling effects while spinning. The caster, or rather, activate the ability again to end it early. Deals additional 20% damage to weakened enemies. You can further upgrade Whirlwind with Climactic Whirlwind. Perform a final swing in an area in front of you after ending Whirlwind's channel, dealing 175% physical damage, and generate 5 to 10 combat momentum based on the number of targets hit. Whirlwind Overdrive. After completing the final spin, you may continue spin at the maximum speed while rapidly depleting your momentum. Ends after momentum is fully depleted or after stopping the channel. My fighter friends have told me that this is really good. Then we have Rupture. Deals 50% physical damage and apply a debuff to the target. While the debuff is active, the target acquires 1 wounded stack per second while moving. After 5 seconds, the target takes additional 150% physical damage, plus 10% additional damage for each stack of the wounded, it has, up to a maximum of 300% physical damage. On the initial hit, if the target is bleeding, one stack is consumed and the target becomes hemorrhaging. That is maim. Perform a powerful maim melee strike in a short forward cone, dealing 250% physical damage to all targets hit. Deals 20% again increased damage against tripped targets. You can upgrade it by slicing. Maim launches a pierce projectile that deals 100% physical damage plus 50% additional damage to recently tripped targets to enemies in its path. On the left, we have lunging assault. Spend 15 combat momentum to launch in a direction, a short distance, and perform an upward swing upon arrival, dealing 125% physical damage and applying snare to enemies in front of you. You are immune to hard CC while you are performing this ability. You can further upgrade it by going into recharging lunging assault. Lunging assault gains additional charge and generates 5 additional combat momentum when dealing damage to one or more enemies. We have battle cry. Apply rallied to the caster and all nearby party members, and weakened to all nearby enemies. Gain 5 combat momentum for each target rallied and each enemy that was shaken. Wallop. Spend 40% of your current combat momentum in order to deal 150% physical damage plus additional damage depending on how much combat momentum was spent, up to a total of 300% damage. On the left, we have knockout. Knock out the targeted enemy, putting them to sleep for 10 seconds. Any damage that breaks this effect is breaking this effect. We have form of fluidity. While in this form, the caster receives 4% disabling resistance per 10 combat momentum, up to a maximum of 40%. Overpower and brutal cleave apply shaken to targets hit. Shifting form costs 20% combat momentum and triggers all CDs. Meditative form of fluidity. Form of fluidity regenerates 0.01% of your maximum mana per second per point of combat momentum you have. Form of celerity. While in this form, the caster receives 2% movement speed per 10 combat momentum, up to a maximum of 20%. Overpower and brutal cleave stagger the targets. Shifting forms cost the usual 20% and CD. Then we have Art of War. Switching forms no longer triggers cooldowns or costs combat momentum. Cataclysm. Deals 275% physical damage and applies shaken to all enemies in a large area in front of you. If the target is staggered, then the effect is consumed and the target becomes stripped. Deals 15% additional damage against shield targets. This bonus is doubled against frozen targets. To the right, we have Leap Strike. Leap to the target location and deal 225% physical damage around you while applying snare to targets hit. Apply 3 stacks of snare against targets that were shaken. Blood Fusion. Returns 100% damage dealt as health and 50% damage dealt as mana over the next 6 seconds. Resource replenish is diminished for each target hit beyond the first. 25% additional damage is returned as health from bleeding targets. This bonus is doubled against hemorrhaging targets. Preservative Blood Fusion. When Blood Fusion is activated while below 50% HP, gain 25% increased mitigation and healing received over the duration. If you are wanting to play this class, I highly recommend you getting Blood Fusion because this is going to keep your mana topped up. And board is not always available, and if there are big groups, you need to spam. Excuse me, you need to spam abilities, and this will help you gaining your mana. So if you combo this with Whirlwind in a big group, it is going to return you to basically full. Brutality. Overpower and Brutal Cleave apply 1 stack of wounded to the enemy it hits. And as a capstone, Berserker. Consume your combat momentum rapidly, gaining 30% more physical power and movement speed and immunity to disabling effects while active. Must have at least 20 combat momentum to activate, and at the end of the effect ends when all of the combat momentum is fully depleted. You can further stack into it by reinvigorating Berserk. Berserk refreshes the ability cooldowns by 0.25% per combat momentum that the caster has used up. And on the left, Unyielding Berserk. Berserk breaks all disabling effects on the caster. I hope you have enjoyed this video and have taken away something from it. This was the Berserk abilities in Ashes of Creation Alpha 2. This is the 3rd of November, and these were the original unchanged abilities. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and like, comment, subscribe.